I'm Sarah Canney, and this is my Instagram live show, showing up courageous conversations with women who are following their heart. This is episode 2 with Raya on assignment. Hi friends, welcome back. This is episode 2 of Showing Up, and I am Sarah Canney. I'm author of the blog Run.Fargirl.com and the founder and host of the women's running retreat, Rise.Run.Retreat. And this is my Instagram show, which isn't so much a show as it is a showing up, where I bring on women who are following their heart and living out their dreams courageously. And we have a conversation about what it takes, about the process of stepping out into your passions and some of the doubts and obstacles that you face along the way and how you can overcome those. So today I am really excited to welcome my second guest, who left a corporate career to create her own business as a photographer in brand and business photography. So my guest today is Raya Al-Hashmi, and I've had the chance to work with Raya. She's taken some pictures for me, including the one that I use as sort of the cover page for this show. She took that at the live women's running event I had with Lindsay Hine back in November. So I'm really excited to bring Raya on. Let's see, here we go. And have a conversation with Raya. So, hey!
Hey!
How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you. Thank you for joining me today.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Congrats on your second episode.
No, we're fun.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm just diving in and seeing what happens. So
The best way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I know a little bit about you. I know that you went to school for journalism and then sort of transitioned straight into the corporate world, sort of along that vein. So tell me a little bit, why don't you tell us a little bit about your corporate career, kind of what you were doing, and then what was it about that career that just felt dissatisfying to you, where you just felt like there was something else out there?
Yes, it was. So I was working in corporate hospitality for a small boutique chain of hotels. And a lot of my work background was in hospitality. So it was really easy for me to land in that job after college and feel like I was okay at it because I had so much experience in it. But there were some signs along the way. Like, I just wasn't great at a lot of, I was really good at some parts of hospitality, and there were other parts that I just feel like I was like missing something. I wasn't very good at it compared to some of my coworkers that seemed to it to come a lot easier to them. So I talk a lot about that when I talk about finding our zones of genius, and a sign that we maybe aren't in it is when we are feeling really a lot of resistance, and like it's really difficult because we can be in our work and it feel really easy and fun and of flow. So yeah, I was in hospitality, and I had been shooting for about 10 years now. So throughout being in the hotel, I was doing photography on the side. And really one of the catalysts, one of the moments of really me needing to look at if I was going to continue down this corporate hospitality path, or to just give this other passion of mine a chance, was an email that came in, and a woman wanted me to shoot her 6-month-old daughter. She was only going to be in town for a weekend, and I knew I couldn't take that job if I was going to continue to work at the hotel. It just wouldn't have worked. So I responded to her because I was really sick of saying no to these photo opportunities that I wanted. Like, yeah, that's actually what I wanted to be saying yes to, but I kept on saying no. So I responded to her and I said, yes, let's do it. I'm free that whole weekend. You tell me when. And then I sent that email, and then I was like, oh God, like now I got to quit my job. Like now I have, like, I'm committed. And there's so many other parts, but that was like, you know, this really tangible moment that I can replay. And it's funny because that woman had no idea the power that that one email really like
Yeah.
pushed in my life.
Yeah. It's amazing how sometimes those things fall into our lap right at the right time. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like pushing us into where we need to be. But I can relate to that feeling of being in a career and there just being a lot of friction.
Yeah.
I felt that a lot when I was teaching high school. Like I loved the kids, I loved the people, but the lesson planning, the grading, all that stuff, it was so stressful for me. And it
Yeah.
just felt the situation created a lot of friction. So I think that is a common theme that I've heard is that there's friction and there's stress, and then it's like it's what do you do with that? Do you act on it, or do you just kind of suck it up and keep on that path? So
Mhm.
it's really neat that you had the guts to jump in. So did you then, so after that, did you then have to quit your job like within a few days, or how did that all play out?
Yeah, so that email happened around in November, and I left my job in February. So I decided I was going to give them, I think I gave them the normal 2 week notice, but I knew I had that amount of time to start preparing. And I compare that time period a lot to like what I would imagine getting ready to have a child. I was, you know, starting to nest. I was starting to put some things in place. I was trying to, you know, save as much money as I could, change my whole lifestyle around, really start to make room for this new entity and this entirely new life. And there was a lot of uncertainty, fear, excitement, just a really big creation period and needing to really milk the hours I could when I wasn't at my job to help prepare for that time when I was going to be leaving and just on my own.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that period of time is probably what scares people the most is that sort of uncertainty, that transition period where you go from having a regular paycheck and maybe benefits and sort of all that stuff to like your own thing that is so new and such a baby, like really a baby business
Yeah.
that it just feels like it's just the only thing you have to fall back on is you.
Mm,
So you know, all that sort of framework around you is gone. It's a tough place to be in. So
yeah.
I think your mindset was during that time that allowed you to not change your mind, not like
Yeah.
backtrack and let the fear
Mm,
take you
yeah.
backwards.
Such a good point. I spoke about this in a post recently that our character traits that sometimes are viewed as negative are really sometimes the things that get us to where we are. So I'm a stubborn person. If I commit to something or, you know, I give myself even a certain label or something, and there's definitely fault in this, but there's moments of beauty in that. So I'm so stubborn that when I made that commitment that I was going to leave and that it was going to happen. I could never see myself from that moment going back. And there was moments when they said, can you stay a little bit longer? We'll give you a bonus. All of these other things, like they were really enticing me to stay, even for just another week, another month. And I had already committed to a certain date. So I said, no, and I said, and I booked a shoot. And they said, that's fine. We'll work around with your schedule. And I said, no, I said I'm leaving and I'm giving this my all and I'm going to. So yeah, I'm stubborn and that helped. And then also just even thinking, holding those people in your mind that, don't really believe in you or, have said things to you before or have just looked down on you or, all of those things, really holding them close and having them be your allies as you're moving through this in a way of like, hey, you really don't think I can do much in this life. And I see that and I can, I see why you're saying that because you have only seen me in a certain setting that's not where I'm supposed to be. So watch me when I'm in the setting I'm supposed to be. And like, I'm going to show you what I'm really capable of.
Yeah, that's definitely like that resonates with me because I certainly feel that way. I guess with my running, like if someone's like, "Oh, you can't do that," I'm like, "Oh, what?
Yes.
Do that."
Yeah.
So, so I definitely see like how those sort of voices can be a motivator. Who in your life during that time was sort of in your corner and really encouraging you and like saying, "Go for it"?
Yeah, there was, I would say honestly, Sarah, one person out of everyone, and I get it, out of love, people are fearful. But it was my roommate. It was my roommate. I was living in downtown Portsmouth, and she just knew me. She knew my work ethic. She knew my passion for this craft. She was the one that had to rely on me to pay half our downtown Portsmouth apartment rent. And so she
For
should have really been there. It's like, Raya, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but she goes, I know you can do this. And that was huge for me because she, again, she could have been the person that says, hey, I'm not sure.
yeah.
Do you have a plan B? Do you have enough savings for at least 6 months? Like, I don't know. But she knew. So she was in my corner, which was helpful because I would see her every day. And she really helped remind me that I could do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so important to, I mean, even if it's just one person, all you need is that voice, that encouraging voice, outside voice that's like, go for it, especially for the when you start to feel a little bit of doubt.
Mm,
So
yeah.
along the way, have you felt doubt? Have you ever kind of got into it and then kind of thought maybe I'm not cut out for this?
Yeah. Yeah. For a while in the beginning, I would say it took, I always say, I think it took about 6 months for me to actually believe that
Mm.
it was going to work. So for about 6 months, I was kind of relying um, on that stubbornness to keep me going. But I remember so well, it was February when I had left, and it was one of those cold February days. It was pouring rain. I was laying in my bed. It was during the day, just really low because I just didn't know how it was actually going to work. No emails. I had no idea what I was doing. No background in business. Nothing. Didn't even have a direction with my photography. And I remember just really experiencing all of these things of questioning, like, am I a worthy human being to even like be here anymore? The fact that I don't have a job title, I don't have a place I'm going to work, I don't have a paycheck, all of these external labels, everything we use to help validate our existence. I wasn't in college, so I don't have my professors telling me I'm doing a good job or a grade report. I have no gauge that I'm a good human being. This is, the conversation in my head. And it took me really needed to sit with all of that. And then finally coming down to the actual truth of it all, which was just simply by being, I am enough. I'm
Yeah.
worthy enough. Just by being a human, by being born. And that was kind of like, man, if I only have that one truth and I go back to working on the other job, this whole freaking experience was worth it.
Yeah.
Have that, that one truth.
Yeah. I think, it's funny because I feel like, I mean, that's the lesson that I feel like I'm learning. Here I am 36 years into life, and it's like I'm finally getting that lesson of like, I'm enough just by being who I am, having the interests, the talents,
Mm-hmm.
everything that's inside me is enough, like, for this life. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to be anything for anyone else. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that lesson definitely resonates with me for sure. Um, so, so you said you were kind of in that period of time, in those low moments, you weren't really even sure sort of what you were doing with photography. Um, but now I mean, you have a really clear niche. I mean, you do brand and business photography. And for people who don't know, Raya takes pictures for hospitals, doctors' offices, coffee shops, like any kind of brand, any business. You do their marketing, like content, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, the photography industry is a really crowded space. So how did you, and it's got to be tough to distinguish yourself from wedding photo, there's tons of wedding photographers and family portrait and all, there's so much in going on there. So when did you arrive at that idea that, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to focus in on this niche? And how did you sort of weed out all the other things to
Mm-hmm.
just that?
Yeah, I love this part. I think it's so fascinating and can be really helpful to folks in any path because, regardless of what it is, it's always about niching in and becoming like really good at the thing you're really in love with within that industry. So started out shooting everything, which is a great place to start and discover your interests. So I shot weddings, family photo shoots, babies, all of it. And I started to check in with myself after shoots and ask myself, was that life-giving? Do I feel energized from that experience, or do I feel really depleted? So that was one sign. Another is the product that I got. Do I feel like it was strong, or do I feel like I don't think I connected with what I was shooting with very well? So it was kind of gathering data as I was going, starting to weave it together, find the similarities, and then start to give that an identity and label. So I would notice I really resonated with businesses, and that might have been because I was like parallel experiencing part of what they were and trying to push them up and share their message. Another thing is my background is in journalism, so I'm drawn to storytelling, understanding the reasoning as to why people do things, how they do it, helping to share that in the most powerful, authentic, real, journalistic way. So it makes sense looking back that, you know, I studied that, and then I'm now drawn to this type of photography. So it's kind of a whole range of all of that. And then, so for your second question, you know, it's still about having that seesaw of like getting attracted and wanting to do more of that, but still supplementing with the other work until you really feel like you're at a point where, again, you're ready to make the other leap, where I might have not had enough business and personal branding work, but I really needed to start kind of saying no to the other stuff to start making room for that. So this past year, I shot my last wedding, which I feel amazing about. I'm excited for other wedding photographers to be able to, you know, collect those other shoots that they might have not had if I were to still shoot weddings now. Let them do that. They're so good at it, and I was okay at it. So that's another point of like, it's almost selfish if we keep playing in areas that aren't our best, because that's for someone else, and we can then play in the area that we really love, and there's an abundance of work there for us.
Yeah, I think that that's such a tough decision and place to arrive at, is where you're at the point where you realize that in order to make room for what you really love, you have to start saying no to things that maybe pay the bills,
Yeah.
but don't feed your soul. So
Yes.
how did you sort of tackle that decision, and what was the mental process of being okay with things?
Mm. It's a lot of trust, like anything that your heart already knows you're meant to be at, but your mind and the like numbers haven't caught up yet. So for me, I really only wanted to shoot businesses and personal branding. So for weddings is a good example, because I knew about 2 years ago I wanted to stop shooting weddings. So I allowed myself to be curious, to play with the idea, to say, well, what would it look like? How many do I book right now? Does it make sense for me to do that? And then really trusting it's actually going to work out. There are so many businesses and people who are starting businesses that there's more than enough of the work I really want to be doing. So I let myself shoot a whole other season of weddings and be really mindful of like, am I ready to give this up? And then be at a point where like, yes, I feel so good about giving this up now. So allowing yourself a grace period too, and not needing to make really black and white decisions. And also another example is it doesn't need to be black and white. So for family photo shoots, I don't take on any new families now, but there's been families I've been shooting since the very beginning who trusted me when I really wasn't very good. And so I still shoot them because,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like grandfathering you in. It's all good. It was kind of fun to play in the areas that I don't shoot in a lot anymore. So like allowing yourself to not be so black and white and so rigid about the work you do.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. So in your experience, like of so far in your business, have there been any major setbacks that you've experienced that have, after you've been in it for a few years, that have kind of shaken you a little bit and made you wonder, like, oh, should I be doing? Anything like that you've...
Yeah. Yes. It's a good question. Yeah, there's weird moments, like just strange. And it's fun because my partner Miles does videography. So we both have very parallel experiences, very similar experiences with clients, expectations, product, just the whole thing. So um, it's fun for us to be able to, in those moments of being like, oh, that was strange, us be able to talk about it, bounce off. We always try to say like, all right, what are we going to do different? Trying to always approach our work with integrity, with truth, with a beautiful exchange with our people, because our reputation, our community is important, and serving our community is important before anything else. So always trying to check ourselves, and especially if we're getting really emotional, like, all right, we need to take a step back before we play in our business, because we could be, saying things we don't mean and stuff like that. So it's so parallel to our personal lives, and our business. So needing to just take the best care of ourselves so we can handle the moments that feel a little bit odd. It's just so funny how some days too have like these themes of like certain emails that come in, and then other days have a completely different theme to them. And just, yeah, being fascinated with the whole thing that we get to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just allowing yourself in those situations where you're feeling discouraged, like allowing yourself space to kind of step back, and like you said, be curious about like, why am I responding this way? And, then kind of proceed from that, I think is really important. So before, you were talking about, as you were sort of niching down in photography, that you were reflecting on each shoot that you were doing, and kind of, what did I like? What didn't I like? How do I feel about the product? Is that something that you actually write down? Are you keeping a journal of everything? Or what are some of the habits or rituals or things that you do on a daily basis that you think maybe contribute to your craft and what you're doing?
Good question. Yes, it was more of just a mental check-in after each shoot. And I think that is, for me, the most powerful way to remember, allowing myself to sit in my car after the shoot and notice my energy level, and kind of just do a little keep track of that, and just being really present with that, rather than just maybe just turning on music or calling someone or something, just being like, okay, cool, all right, I felt like I handled that whole situation really well. It felt good. I feel strong about the photos. I'm going to remember that. So it can be, it doesn't need to be complicated, simple, like little check-in. And then for the way I feel like I've been able to build my business, that I feel like is strong, is really just like a true reflection of myself. When I was working in the hotel, I was not taking care of myself in every single capacity possible. I was an F, probably, like truly. And I look back at that, and it's crazy because that is so far from who I really am. But I could have continued to live my life that way forever. So when I left the hotel, I really wanted to build a life around like my values and the things that I knew I wanted to do for myself, like daily movement and eating well and sleeping enough, and like not waking up without an alarm clock. That's huge. Like really allowing my body to get the amount of sleep it needs to get, for me, was like a sign that, I'm in the right place. So the more I was taking care of my body and going to personal development stuff, just, the whole thing, I would see my business start to grow and develop, and the more confidence I got, and all of that, it's so correlated.
Yeah, it's true. I think that time of sort of focusing on taking care of yourself, and making sure that your needs are met. I honestly, like, since the beginning of the year, have been more focused in on sort of my morning ritual, for my head's free, like starting the day well. And I've seen that reflect my children's behavior. Like, not just clarity and creativity in my business, but also reflected in how my kids are acting and behaving. And so I think there is that trickle effect, is it's when you're taking care of yourself, when you're doing something that you're passionate about, that your heart is in, then there is this sort of trickle down positivity to all the other things that your fingers and your toes dipped into, I guess you could say. So
Yes. Yes. I always say when we do what's good for us, we do good what's good for the whole world.
true.
100%.
Yeah, very true. So I mean, that sort of paints owning your business in a really like golden light. What are some of the things about owning your own business that are maybe not so fun? You know, obviously the being able to sleep, get enough sleep for your body and work on yourself and all those things are so important. But there's also like the back end of things that people don't see that aren't necessarily very enjoyable. What are those things? And then how do you still stay passionate about what you're doing and about your craft while still like doing that nitty gritty has to get done?
Yes. For me, it's really constantly reminding myself that I'm not my work in the sense of my value. So submitting a shoot a few days ago and I'm not quite sure if I nailed it, and really like watching myself beat myself up about it and going down a really dark hole really, really quickly about my whole self because of this little shoe, which like actually the person could have loved. So it's funny, it's like it's still 3 years into doing this, and I really got to be aware of that. I think a lot of creatives feel that when you are creating something out of nothing and someone else is, you know, giving you their idea of it and you want to, there's an exchange here, you want them to love it, you just do. So I need to check myself with that, and that can feel emotionally hard if that's happening frequently, or there seems to be this theme, maybe a whole week of being like, oh God, I don't know. So that's something that maybe folks might not experience if they have a job that they go to and they come home and it's not really this very, very close tie. And then another thing is boundaries, because we're working with so many people all the time of really being able to show up well, show people, you know, that you respect yourself and your space and your time, so they know how to treat you, and being able to maybe not work with people that you just feel like, this is not my jam, and finding a creative way to pass them off to someone else who might fit them better. And then also balance, like I love it, so I could do it all day, but knowing I also have a partner that I want to spend time with. I also want to be going to the gym. I want to make as many home cooked meals as I can, spend time visiting my family that doesn't live nearby, making sure I'm entertaining and nurturing all the other facets that make up a whole human, that it's not just my work, and catching myself, because I want to be able to do this for as long as I want and not feel like I'm getting burnt out, which there were times last year that I was like, oh God, I like Googled burnout because I was just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm like in this thing. Yeah. And I mean, for sure, and they always say when you're tired, rest, don't quit. And there were moments that I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So as much as I love it, like catching myself, because you can love something, but you do it too much, that's out of balance. It's not going to be fun anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And I think for sort of that entrepreneur personality type, it's always easier to like, we love to work. We love to work and work and work. And
yeah.
And I know that's true for me, that I have to really have a clear cutoff point where it's like, okay, no, I need to close the computer, to put this away. I need to be present for my family. I need to make dinner.
Yes.
So, yeah, that can be a really hard line to draw, especially, I mean, when you're working for yourself and you are the business. So, that can be a huge challenge for sure. So kind of moving forward, I mean, how do you see your business growing, developing? Like, what are your sort of dreams and goals moving forward?
Yeah, Miles and I talk about this a lot. So it's definitely, I think, more travel travel focused. We've had some amazing opportunities recently, and a few coming up that they want us to travel to different spots and do our work, which is just so fun. We love our community, want to nurture it, but when there's moments and opportunities to travel, we just think that's the best. So intentionally creating that and seeing those emails come in with opportunities has been so fun. So we continue wanting to just, get better technically, get new equipment, try new skills, just keep being curious and not wanting to remain stagnant or like we haven't pushed ourselves in every shoot, trying something different. So that's big for us. Continuing just to keep dreaming bigger, knowing anything is possible that we want to do with our business. And we're more interested in growing our brands kind of with ourselves and offering different things, not necessarily building a team. So I like to mention that because some people are like, when are you going to hire people? It's like, I don't want to do that. I just want to keep offering different things off of who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And that in and of itself will keep you busy for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Raya, this has been super fun. We're up against the time here. But can you let people know where they can connect with you on social media and on the web as well?
Thank you so much, Sarah. This was truly an amazing conversation. I love you so much, and the community you're building and everything you're sharing. You are an inspiration to me. So thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Thank you. And right here on Instagram is where I'd love to hang out, Raya on Assignment. And if you guys want to, investigate a little more of my work, my website, rayaonassignment.com, you can see some examples there. And I always love to connect with folks, meet for coffee, just talk online. So no, I'm here to support you guys.
Oh, yeah. It's a great place. So
thank you so much, Sarah.
Joining me. I really appreciate it. It was really fun.
So fun. Thank you all for watching.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Sarah. Bye.
Bye. Oh, guys, thanks so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it. And I just love that conversation with Raya. So I wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsor. Again, it's TriggerPin. And one of the reasons I love having them on as a sponsor is because they are also a small business with a great story. Mark Danita, the owner of TriggerPin, started making TriggerPin rollers in his basement in New Hampshire, and now they're distributed worldwide, which is fantastic. So I actually have it right here so you know what I'm talking about. This is a TriggerPin. I use it all the time. If you would like to try one, you can head over to tpinmuscletherapy.com, and if you use the code RUNFAR, you'll get 10% off of your purchase. Also, if you are interested in catching the full episode, so either episode 1 with Mary Johnson or this episode, which will be out sometime later in the week, either Thursday or Friday, you can get access to those videos if you click the link in my profile. That'll give you all the instructions on how to view those. Since on Instagram Live, they go away in 24 hours. I'm saving them, putting them together, and they are living on my website, runfargirl.com. So you can always view them again if you want to. So next week, I will be back with my third guest who started making jewelry as a hobby and then turned that hobby into a business and now makes beautiful pieces that inspire people to dream big and follow their heart. Next week, I'll have on Erica Sarah from Erica Sarah Designs, and I'm really excited to chat with her about all the things of owning and operating and making jewelry. She's an inspiration. So I will be back next Wednesday at noon, and I hope you will join me. Thank you so much for showing up today with me. Bye, guys.